Welcome to My Hometown, the program that explores clubs, organizations, businesses, and issues across Nassau and Suffolk counties and sheds light on the different towns that are making a difference.
Hello and welcome to My Hometown. I'm Bill Horan, along with my co-host, Nassau Community College student, Stacy Raine.
And today you're going to learn about an organization that is helping to feed the hungry along Nassau County's South Shore called the Long Beach Soup Kitchen.
I understand that the kitchen had to make numerous changes how it operates as a result of COVID-19. So let's learn more from our guests today.
Let's meet Robert Blau, and the kitchen's president, and Larry Feldman, the pantry manager, with the Long Beach Soup Kitchen. Robert and Larry, welcome to My Hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Thank you so much.
Guys, let's start off. Tell us about the Long Beach Soup Kitchen and how did it get started?
So it got started. We're actually celebrating our 40th anniversary next year.
Wow.
So we've been around for 40 years. Thank you. Most recently, within the last 5 or 6 years or something in that nature, we became our own not-for-profit 501c3. We were displaced many times over the 40 years within Long Beach. We were out in City Hall Plaza. We were at the Martin Luther King Center. We were at the various different churches. And again, about 15 years ago, the city allowed us to move into a space that had been housed by a restaurant, a local restaurant. So we've been in that space for the last 15 or 20 years, which is incredibly advantageous for us because it's rent-free, it's utility-free. So big thanks go out to the city of Long Beach and the council members.
And where is that location?
We're at 140 West Pine Street in Long Beach.
Okay. We'll ask you that again later on in the show.
Sure.
So 40 years, that's a long time. So can you tell me about the need for a soup kitchen on Long Beach?
Well, when we started 40 years ago, we were it was run by the Interfaith Nutrition Network out of Hempstead. We were one of, I think it was, and again, 40 years ago, I was not involved in the soup kitchen, but I believe we were one of 3 or 4 of the initial soup kitchens that they opened up around the Nassau-Suffolk communities. Subsequently, it's grown from a handful of guests that we serve, and it has expanded incredibly so since the pandemic, where we're serving over 15,000 meals a year.
Wow.
To pretty much a consistent community of guests that show up every day.
Wow.
You know, guys, I said this to you before the show, but I want it on the air now. Really, in the world, I mean, there are many professions who go out and help people save lives. The policemen, the doctors, as we know of, nurses. Many don't even get credit for it, and they're doing hard work. But you guys are feeding people, and if nobody feeds somebody, we know what happens. So hats off to both of you. You're doing a wonderful job. And if it's one person or 10,000 or I think you said 15,000 meals, that's great.
Well, you know, that's interesting, Bill, because when I first started, we were serving meals indoors, and we would serve 20 to 40 meals a day. 40 was on the high side, 20. But there are days where we would have 10 or 12 guests that would show up, and our volunteers would be very upset that there weren't more people. And if you serve one person, it's one person that needed a meal that may have not gotten it if we weren't there. So it was so confusing to me as a new volunteer that we were upset that there weren't more people showing up. I mean, it was unbelievable. It's a thought process that more people need to be here for me to feel fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting, and that's the way our mind works. Can you tell us, along with that, some of the misconceptions and maybe stereotypes that you come across and that can educate both us here today and our audience?
Well, expand on that a little bit. I'm not sure I understand.
What do people think when they hear soup kitchen? What's their first, food pantry, et cetera? What's their first reaction?
First of all, in the town of Long Beach, a lot of people didn't think there was a need for a soup kitchen in Long Beach. And I've been I grew up in Long Beach. I've been there for almost 69 years. When I first started, most of my friends in the community that I would engage with didn't even know it existed. And there was a while that when I first started that we were kind of in this hidden space, and the management of the soup kitchen at the time didn't want us exposed into the community because they were afraid of the negativity behind the soup kitchen. They were afraid that the city government was going to shut us down because, we were too loud and that was the most ridiculous thing that I'd ever heard of. And when I became president, it was my goal And it was the goal of the community and the government of Long Beach to expand the soup kitchen and to make it more aware so that people had access to it that may have not even known about it in the past. And our guests are incredibly nice to us, and they're very appreciative of what we do every single day. There's always an argument. There's always someone who wants something that they didn't get. But for the most part, it's a very, very, very civil aspect to how people have to live today. And we're grateful. Larry and I are very grateful to be part of it because it helps me. It gives me purpose in life after retirement.
Yeah.
And all of our volunteers have a purpose, as we've spoke about earlier. So it keeps me off the streets. It keeps me humble.
Yeah, you're the kind of guy who get in a lot of trouble. I can see that.
Gotta watch out for you, I think.
Fireworks,
Absolutely.
wild kids, stealing hubcaps.
We talked off radio for a little bit about how you got involved and things of that nature. And I was forced into retirement, but I found a way because when I left my company, I volunteered, which is so out of character for me. I flew to Haiti with an organization that I hooked up with, and I had to pay to go. But yet I was there for 2 weeks, and that really humbled me, and that got me way more involved in philanthropic endeavors, and the soup kitchen became my home. Also, Larry's home. I mean, he spends more time there than I do.
Yeah, Larry, I'd love to hear a little bit more about you and how you got involved with the soup kitchen.
Well, I was not forced into retirement. I retired voluntarily, and I was working in education, working with deaf adults for many years. I needed something else to do. After I retired, one of the fall festivals that we had in Long Beach, there was a table there with the Long Beach Soup Kitchen. And it was a natural segue for me to contact them and move forward from there. I volunteered when I was in high school and college at New York City at the Manhattan VA for many years. And when I was in education with the population I was working, we had a work-study program. And used the Veterans Hospital in Manhattan on 23rd Street as a site for our students. And it worked out very well. I knew them, they knew me, and it was natural segue into introducing our students in a work-study program. So volunteerism with me was a very big background.
And by the way, guys, Larry is very humble because Larry does just about everything that needs to get done. If somebody doesn't want to do it, Larry's the first one to raise his hand. It almost goes to a bit of, it's excessive. And I get upset with him when he says to me, I just got a call from some lady in Brooklyn who has a bunch of donations, and I'm going to take the van and go to Brooklyn. And I said, Larry, you're out of your mind. But he does it, picks it up, and he's awesome. He's absolutely awesome.
Well, his title, and I found this unique, was kitchen president. So the president.
No, that's me.
Oh, that's you.
That's
I'm sorry.
Larry's
Switching around.
Pantry
Okay.
Manager.
Right.
Pantry manager. So
Larry's
you've
the
got to
pantry
do it,
manager.
though. These are wide open titles. You're the boss.
Yeah.
And sometime you have to sweep the floor or close the window.
Oh, I
right?
do all of that.
I bet you do. I'm sure you do.
It's a collaborative effort. Everybody does. I take it back. Not everybody. There are some prima donnas that are volunteers,
Right.
but we accept that because everybody has a role, and I've assumed the role of president. Larry is very forget about Pantry Manager for a second. He's the jack of all trades and master of all of them at the soup kitchen. So without him, we couldn't do it.
Now, can you tell us, and for our audience, are you open every day? Is it a limit to people come for one meal, or do they come at 2 o'clock and get something?
We are open 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday, and we start serving between 11:15 and end at 12:45 for lunch, only lunch. Again, 6 days a week. Our volunteers who are cooking on that day or helping on that day, we usually get there around 8:30, 9 o'clock, and we close down. Try and get out of there by 1:15, but sometimes we're there a lot later trying to help clean up. And we have guests, even though we're closed at 12:45, we may be walking out the door, and we'll see a couple of guests walking down the street, and we'll go back in. We'll put together whatever we have available. We may not have a hot meal at that point because we've sold out. I use the word sold out, but we've exhausted the food that we've prepared, but we'll always leave somebody with something.
Stacey, do you notice something? You've used the word guest a lot.
Yeah.
Yep.
And at first, when you said that, I thought you meant like a dignitary or someone is coming by. these are the people you serve when you
Yes.
say
Yes.
guests.
Yes.
Okay, I finally caught on to that. I was a little
Yeah,
slow
again,
with
that was something that the inn indoctrinated in us, and that was their terminology, and we've kept the terminology because it's I don't know if it's endearing, but it gives them a sense of
Dignity.
they're not dignity. Thank
Yeah,
you, not
exactly.
endearing, dignity.
No,
Absolutely.
that's very nice of you to do it that way. But I'm just the slow one. It took me a while to catch on. I think, why all these guests are coming? Why don't you take care of the people?
Right, they're
And
our
that's the term
guests.
for they are.
They are our guests.
Absolutely are your guests.
You are listening to My Hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Stacy Raine here with Bill Horan, and today our guests are Robert Blau, the president, and Larry Feldman, the pantry manager of the Long Beach Soup Kitchen, a not-for-profit, volunteer-based organization established to feed hungry people in the Long Beach, New York area. So you mentioned earlier, Robert, that you had increased meals since COVID happened. And so I would love to understand pre-COVID and post-COVID for the soup kitchen.
Sure. So pre-COVID, we were serving our meals indoors, and by the way, we're serving the same meals. But after or during COVID, when it first began, we decided, like everybody else, shut the doors and try and help as best as we can. So we initiated a Meals to Go program, and we installed a window, slide-up window at our front door so that our guests can walk up and we can hand them our meals and have the separation that was required. Again, I said earlier, I think it was that we were serving 20 to 40 meals a day, and COVID comes, and we had no limitations on how much food or how many meals the guest would have required. But we gave 5 or 6 or 7 meals to people if they asked for it, because we felt it was that time we needed to help out. We realized at that point that we were exceeding the amount of food we were making. We had no quality control, no inventory control over our food, so we limited it to 2 meals per person. On any given day today, and again, over the course of the 2-3 years since COVID, our numbers have expanded because of inflation, because of the cost of food, because of, there's just a million things, labor shortages, whatever it may be. We're now serving anywhere from 60 to 90 meals a day.
Amazing.
So that's what percentage increase. It's an incredible amount increase, and we're able to at least supply that because we've got great partners out there who are helping us to complete our mission.
It's terrible to know that meals have had to increase, but I'm so thankful to know that people like you two are there to meet that need.
It's funny because our meals are absolutely delicious. They're quality meals. We have quality food, and we don't ask any questions of anybody. You guys want to stop by 11:15, wait online, get a meal, we're there for you. We don't know how many people are food insufficient or insecure. We don't know how many are homeless. We ask no questions. Mm-hmm. We serve with dignity and pride to whomever shows up. So it's a great program for us, and it's a great program for the community.
Talking about all this food, I want you to know I was kind of involved last night. I opened the can all by myself of soup. I poured it into the pot, and
then you can come volunteer.
Good job, Bill. Good job.
Did you heat it up, Bill?
I heated it up. I didn't forget that. But my real question is, do volunteers need qualifications to be a cook there, or is it like my type of cooking, pour it into the pan?
Well, if you like to cook, that's the initial step forward, all right? And actually, Rob, we have 2 people right now. You've been training them how to cook.
We have sous chefs,
yes,
sous chefs that we try and train so that we can take a step back on days that we may not be available and someone can fill in.
Right, and there's a credential by the Nassau County Board of Health, I believe, that it's a 1-week course that individuals who want to cook need to attain that certification. I think it's available now online. And it goes over the sanitation, hygienic rules. They don't teach you how to cook. That's Rob and Nicole. Their job.
Anybody who wants to cook at the soup kitchen has experience cooking, whether it's home cooking or restaurant cooking or whatever it may be, because it's not like cooking for your family.
Right.
And it took me time to get used to cooking for 60 to 90 people. How do you portion it out? How much do you make? How much salt do you need? It's a different kind of cooking, but it takes time. There's some newer cooks who don't kind of have it down yet, but they're getting there.
Yeah.
And our guests are not missing a beat.
Those are things I never think of, and that's why I love talking to people in different fields, and we get to meet them here on the show, because you're alerting us to things like this. I wouldn't know how to cook for 90. I had enough trouble pouring the soup in the pan last night, and I didn't spill any, and I thought that was a victory. But that's kind of easy. But multiplying it up to 90, that's a little tougher.
I'll tell you what's tough. When I first started, this was a full-on kitchen. However, the restaurateur moved his restaurant to another spot, took all of his equipment with him. So I show up, and I walk into this kitchen that I know because I had eaten there. There's no stove. There's certainly no dishwasher because I don't know whether he took it or not, whatever. But I go in there, and I like to cook, and I'm like, so how do we cook? We make soup every day. Yes, we make soup. Do we make a hot meal? Yes, we make a hot meal. The soup at that time was all microwave soup out of a can.
Oh.
So yuck, but yet it served a purpose. All of the cooking was done through hot plates.
Ah, wow.
Yeah.
That sounds
There was this really funky machine that was you put water in it, and it was like a bathtub, and you were able to cook in that thing, but it took forever, so it really wasn't effective and efficient. So our meals were less quality than they are today, but yet again, we were able to do what we needed to do to help the community. It was an eye-opener for me, big-time eye-opener for me.
Well, and I know something that my husband and I have talked about is we should spend some of that time serving others versus just serving ourselves. So how can people get involved with the soup kitchen? What are some of the roles they can take on, and even, throughout the year and as the holidays come?
What we ask of people who are inquiring about joining the soup kitchen or helping out is the first thing we say is food drives are critical for us. We try not to spend the hard-earned money that our foundations and our community who donate to, so we try and get a lot of that through food drives at local supermarkets. We're actually there's a local hockey team that's doing one on Friday for us at one of the supermarkets. I don't know which one it is in town in Long Beach. On Saturday, there's a restaurant that's doing a fundraiser for us. But as far as the general public is concerned, we don't allow anybody under the age of 17 to help volunteer. And at this point, we're very fortunate that we have a laundry list of people on a wait list that's willing to volunteer, but we don't need them right now. But as I said earlier, our average age of volunteers, and I'm guessing, I haven't done the math on it, it's about 70 years old. So as those, and we've got an 80-year-old and an 80-some-odd-year-old, and as those guys and men and women retire or move on, we need to fill those spots. So we do have a wait list of folks. But a family, I know you said you had some younger kids. A great way to get them involved in something like the soup kitchen is, for Thanksgiving, make Thanksgiving cupcakes, Christmas cookies, anything. We'll take that stuff all day long.
I love that
because idea. What we do is, and I know one of the questions you guys may ask is, what do you serve your guests? Well, so there's a cold lunch bag that we give out that's got some sort of a dessert, a piece of fruit, a sandwich of some sort every day, and a juice box, and a snack box or snack bag. That goes with them, as well as a hot meal that goes every day with a carb, a protein, a vegetable, soup. Sometimes we have salad, sometimes we don't. But that's what we do every day. So if someone wants to make 100 cookies for us, and we do have a young woman, not so young, she's my age, she's in her 60s. I graduated with her from high school. She comes every single Tuesday, and she donates approximately 100 homemade cookies.
That's amazing.
Yeah, listen, there are so many amazing stories that if we had 2 hours or 3 hours on the radio, we can go through them. But there are certainly some that come to mind that are just absolutely amazing. Talking about amazing, talking about volunteering, 15, 16 years ago, we were open for Thanksgiving for the first time when I joined, because my family wanted to do it, other volunteers. We get a knock on the door, and there's a family, a husband, wife, and three. I think there are 3 kids, and they're little. They're 5 years old, 7 years old, and 9 years old, and they brought in 50 prepared hot Thanksgiving meals without ever telling us they were coming. They just showed up because they felt there was a need for it. So that was 15, 18, 19 years ago. Well, now these kids, they show up every single Thanksgiving with 50 to 60 prepared meals, hot. So they're getting up at the crack of dawn, cooking this stuff, bringing it over to us, and now their kids are, one's in a freshman in college, one's a junior in college, and one has graduated college.
And I bet that's something they look forward to. I bet it is.
Oh my God, yes, they do. You can see it on their faces.
Lovely family.
And it's. I don't even know. I used to have to call and say, "Hey guys, are you coming?" Well, I don't call anymore because I know they're going to be there. Unless there's some catastrophe in their life, they will be there at 10 o'clock every Thanksgiving morning.
I love that.
Well,
those are great stories. Those are the greatest stories that we can share.
it really is.
You're listening to My Hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Stacy Raine, here with Bill Horan, and today our guests are Robert Blau, the president, and Larry Feldman, the pantry manager of the Long Beach Soup Kitchen, a not-for-profit, volunteer-based organization established to feed hungry people in the Long Beach, New York area.
Now, guys, can you tell us, this is nice, they give product and bring the dinners, etc., but in the day-to-day activity, how do you get funds to buy simple things like butter, mayonnaise, bread, and then the basics, that go into the products that you put out for the people?
So I'll share a couple things, then Larry will share a couple because he's more involved in the pantry end of it and the canned goods end of it. But from a financial standpoint, and I can't even tell you exactly how some of this came about because it may have been before my time, but most of it's in that same realm of when I started. We have a couple of foundations that found us, like you guys found us, through different various modes of media. And one of them was the Marilyn Lichtman Foundation, and they have donated an incredible amount of money to help us with capital equipment needs, with food needs. So that's something that's ongoing. We request the money, they go to their board, and then they get it approved. We also had done some business where this another organization, Grace's Table, came to us. It was a woman who started a foundation many years ago, and the purpose of her foundation was to help feed the homeless. So that was a natural fit for us, and somehow we made contact with one of the women who was on the board, and again, they've been very, very philanthropic and beneficial to us. We also put out a donation letter every year at the Thanksgiving time, like every other not-for-profit, and we hope, and most of it goes targeted to the Long Beach, Island Park, Atlantic Beach, the Barrier Island communities, Point Lookout, and we collect quite a bit of money from that as well. And then throughout the year, there are people that just show up and say, "Here's $500, here's $100," and that's pretty much how we function at this point. And after that, after the financial piece, there's Larry's part, which is the non-perishable stuff.
Right. We're very lucky and fortunate, rather, to be on the receiving end of donations from Island Harvest, number one, Long Island Cares, as well as Trader Joe's in Oceanside.
They're great, aren't they?
They are fabulous.
Amazing.
As a general organization, overall, each of the Trader Joe's usually has community ties, and they provide. I know that in Oceanside, they donate in excess of $1 million a year worth of food.
Wow. In
excess of that. And it's not just us. They donate every single day to a different agency.
One more reason to love Trader Joe's.
Absolutely.
I love the Trader Joe's.
The food's great too.
I know, exactly.
But they do an incredible job.
Amazing job. And so we pick up from Trader Joe's twice a week. And we have a pantry twice a week that when people come out to the window to receive their hot and cold meals, we have a pantry set up with produce from Trader Joe's, bread, and a whole assortment of canned goods that we receive from regular donations as well. And any individual will stand at the window and say, "I'll have that, and we pack up the bag for them. They take home their hot and cold meals as well as a nice pantry bag filled with items that they'll select.
And there are no questions asked, as I said earlier.
Right.
We don't know demographics of our guests. We don't know how many people are in their family, where they're living. So whatever we can do without, again, any issues as far as, are you this, are you that, would you work? The amount of money that we're saving our guests is pretty incredible. Right. If you saw what the pantry bag that Larry talked about, our guests will come up and they'll say, "Do you have sardines?" "No, we don't have sardines." "Do you have salmon?" And there are people that come with a list. It's like they're going food shopping, which is pretty incredible to watch and to hear. And they'll stand there for 4, 5, 6 minutes just picking and choosing, and
trying to figure out a meal that can feed their family, right?
Right. And there are there's a lot of the guests who won't take anything that needs to be heated in an oven because they don't have the facility. They'll only take microwavable or things they can eat out of a can.
Right.
Wow.
Well, this week we happen to have sardines. We got that in the other day. Yes.
Yum.
So it's but that pantry started during COVID. Prior to that, we didn't have that.
Well, we had a small pantry.
A very small.
Yeah, just selective stuff when the guests would walk in.
So much changed since
Right.
COVID. Wow.
But this is
He runs a little supermarket.
It looks like
in another life or in his next life, he's going to be a grocery store manager.
I worked in a grocery store when I was a kid.
Well, you can go
so you
back
have
to
all the
That's
right
a
experience
background
then.
to me.
Perfect.
So
exactly.
Yeah.
Rob thinks I'm way too anal with it, but everything is very much in the same
You like to
position
say that on
every
radio?
week.
He already did, so
I did.
we
Well,
can't beep him.
The thing is, he does complain to me. He says, "You're out of your mind." But if we move things around, like I said, we have a can of a setup of kidney beans, and then black beans, and then Franco-American spaghetti. If I move it to a different place each week, then the person working that station is not going to know where anything
Right.
is. So we have to
Gotta
keep
stay
it
in
in
the
order,
same spot.
and that works with me very, very well.
By the way, if someone wants to make a donation, hearing this, and right now it's in their mind, is the check made out to Long Beach Soup Kitchen? Is
Yes.
that your legal name?
Yeah.
That's made out
Checks
to?
are made out to that. We have a social media page. We're on Facebook, and we have a website. They can donate on the website through a PayPal.
And what is the website?
LongBeachSoupKitchen.org.
Okay, beautiful. This way, someone hearing it, sometimes it's in our mind, we say, let's do it now. It's a good time to do it. And you know what wonderful work these gentlemen are doing and how many people they're serving. So
You mentioned earlier that there was something that the Nassau Community College community can do to help. So I want to hear about that.
So I as we were walking down there, because of course we parked in the wrong parking lot and we were searching for the building, as probably a lot of people may do when they come visit you guys. But we were right next to the Nest.
Yep.
And that was, again, something that was brought to our attention many years ago through some of the students who were organizing it or an advisor, and they'd done some help donating some stuff. That's how the community, your Nassau Community College community, can help us, is to do food drives. And we certainly, we're not that close, we're not that far, but if it can't be delivered to us, we can come pick it up. We're very, very accessible to doing whatever it is that we need to do to make sure that we have enough food to serve, again, those guests that are attending every single day. And by the way, when I say every day, if you were to sit and watch, these are the same people that come back every single day, rain or shine. I don't know if you remember, it was that monsoon weather. We had 40 people who came out of their homes to get a meal. Wow. I mean, that's mind-boggling to me. That's just, I'm not sure I even have the words to explain what I was thinking when I saw that we had 40 guests. So same people and then new guests every single day that are showing up. And again, I'm not sure whether they're just hearing that the food is so good, so they're coming up.
Maybe.
I'm sure that's the reason.
Local workers who are in the area are stopping by. And it's very funny because we have a grill outside, and the grill is, when it's on, I swear that
Draws people in.
We're convinced.
It
We are
probably
convinced.
does. Guys, we want to thank you so much and let our audience know we've been talking to Robert Blau. He's the president, and Larry Feldman, the pantry manager from the Long Beach Soup Kitchen, a not-for-profit, volunteer-based organization established to feed the hungry people in the Long Beach area. We appreciate you taking time out of your day, and thanks so much for being
You're
with us.
quite welcome.
coming.
Thanks for
very
having
much.
us.
I'm Bill Horan. I am here with Nassau Community College student Stacy Raine. We thank you for listening to this week's episode of My Hometown.
We like to get your feedback on My Hometown. Send your comments to WHPC@ncc.edu. Nassau Community College, where success starts and continues. Till next time, this is Bill St. James. And remember, there's no town like your hometown.